And when I go and look at my cards, I'm like, shit. So let's back up here, because I got this hand completely jacked up. Did I just give this man an extra $320, like, as a gift?
Rise and grind. Hope y'all having a solid day. This vlog you're about to see is a special one. It's a long roller coaster of a session. Got into one of the biggest coolers I've ever been a part of. Also, in this session, I do something that I've never done before on the channel, so I think you guys will like that. Lastly, a couple days ago, we just hit 1,800 subscribers, so hoping to keep that going, trying to get that 2K milestone mark. So I appreciate all you guys for making that happen, all the engagement, all the support. Thanks again, I couldn't do it without you. And here it is, watch and enjoy.
All right, guys, another day of poker, and we're at Resorts World. It's been a while since we've been at this location. We've usually been hovering around the MGM properties, Bellagio, Aria, places like that. So wanted to try something different today. The biggest game they got going on is a 2-5. So we sit down with a $1,200 max and get started. And we don't have to wait long at all till we get involved. We're on the button with ace deuce of clubs. It folds around to the cutoff, who raises to 15. We're next to act, and we come along for the ride. So does the small blind and the big blind. So 4 ways to a flop. And it comes ace high, ace 10-7 rainbow. Action checks all the way around to us, and doesn't seem like anyone has much, and we do. We have top pair. So we bet, we throw out 25. And the small blind next to act immediately raises to 55. Both the big blind and the cutoff get out of the way. Action on us now. And it's basically a min click, right? At least we're taking it as a min click. And we have top pair, backdoor nut flush draw. So we're just going to play this cautiously. Again, it's our second hand dealt in, so don't really know how anybody plays at this point. So we just make the call. The turn comes and it's our money card. It's the deuce of diamonds. If we were behind, we probably aren't anymore. I mean, pocket 10s and pocket 7s are still possibilities, but can't really be afraid of monsters. The small blind doesn't slow down and throws out one black chip for $100. And at this point, we have a decision. We can either raise now or keep giving him some rope and he can value on himself with the worst hand on the river. But before we can even make that decision, this is where the hand gets funky. The small blind exposes one of his cards, and it's the ace of hearts. So we kind of have him right where we want him, and he has a little over 300 left in his stack. So it's kind of a toss-up to get it in now or on the river. We just decide to call and see what happens, because if the river is paired, then we can easily mug our cards because we get counterfeited. So hoping for a non-pair on the river, unless it's a 2 of course, and the river comes and it's a jack of clubs. Not my favorite card, because ace jack is definitely a possibility. And when the small blind announces all in, if he has us beat, he has us beat, he deserves my money. So we make the call, and this is another part of the hand where the weirdness continues.
2 pair?
Your 2 pair is good. He says 2 pair, and I tell him your 2 pair is good, because obviously he showed us an ace, so anything bigger than a 2, he has us beat. Like, he probably has a better 2 pair, or best case scenario, we're chopping with the same hand. And when I go and look at my cards, I'm like, shit. So let's back up here, because I got this hand completely jacked up. I said I had ace deuce of clubs, and it turns out I had ace 4 of clubs. Damn, did I just give this man an extra $320, like, as a gift? He shows his ace again, and I show him mine, and he splits the other card, and he has ace 6 offsuit. I glance back at the board, I look it over, and realize it's a chop. We have the same hand. Both our kickers don't even play. Honest to God, I really thought I had ace deuce of clubs, because it really makes no sense to snap call a jam for $320 knowing he had an ace with my exact hand. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. The table and the small blind were in shock. I mean, second hand dealt in, and I'm snap calling over $300 with the nut low, basically. So was it a dumb play, or perhaps the greatest snap call of all time? You guys be the judge. Either way, the table was probably thinking, all right, it's going to be one of those sessions. And I got to tell you, it was. More sick hands to come. All right, this next hand we're gonna go over, we're first to act in the under the gun, and we legit have ace deuce suited, this time the diamond variety. We raise it up 3x to 15, folds around to the big blind, and he makes the call. So we're heads up to a flop in position, and we flop the world ace 3-5 with 2 diamonds. So we have top pair and a gutter for a straight flush. He checks and flow to us, and we bet small, throw out $10. He makes the call. The turn is a 10 of diamond, so we hit our nut flush. He checks again to us, and I bet another small sizing, only $25, hoping he continues with an ace himself. And he does think about it for a little bit, but ends up mucking his cards. It looked like he wanted to put some chips in the middle, and he didn't snap fold, so maybe a smaller bet would have got called, or maybe he was thinking about making a move. So maybe a check was the best play, but remember, no slow playing monsters here. Less than an orbit goes by, the button $10 straddle is on. It folds around to us in the hijack, and we look down at the ladies pocket queens, third best starting hand in poker. So we bump things up and make it $30. The cutoff folds, and since the action was changed by our raise, the button is next to act. Because if the action doesn't change, meaning if there were no pre-flop raises, the action skips the button and goes to the small blind. But since we raised, he has to act in flow, and he decides to fold, but both blinds come along. So 3 ways to a flop, and we don't want to see any overcards whatsoever, no kings, no aces. And luckily we don't. It's jack 3-6 with 2 diamonds. The small blind checks in flow, but the big blind doesn't know how to check in flow. She leads for $35. We take our time to interpret what this lead means. It's a relatively dry board, so only thing that really worries us is pocket 3s or pocket 6s. And I've seen this opponent lead top pair before, so we raise it up right here and we make it 105. Action now on the small blind, and he comes along with a call, which now some alarm bells are going through my head. And the big blind, getting a good price, calls as well. And the pot is ballooning at this point, so we got to tread cautiously on this one. The turn is another undercard to our pair. It's a 7 of spades, which shouldn't change much unless one of them was open-ended with 4 or 5 of diamonds, but that is a far stretch. The small blind checks again, but the big blind continues, thinking they both were gonna check basically any turn, but the big blind doesn't. She bets again, this time for $135. I tank for a little bit, not really knowing what to do, especially with the player behind. You can make a case for letting it go, but maybe I'm just stubborn, so we stick in the money for a call. Action on the small blind now, and he reaches for some chips, and he actually raises to 200 more, so it's 335 total. I'm like, what is going on? He check called my raise on the flop, then he check raises himself on the turn. The big blind finally gets the hint and lets her cards go, and now it's our turn, and we're in the blender. Just going through all the possibilities in my head, there are some combo draws available, like ace-5 of diamonds. That would be a pretty good semi-bluff, which has a lot of equity, and really the only thing that's beating us are those sets that we talked about earlier, which aren't too many combos. I don't know, it's a tough one. We do decide to get sticky and put in $200 more and see what happens on the river. The river comes, a 10 of spades, so the front door flush misses, but this card does bring in 8-9 for a straight, so if he was semi-bluffing with 8-9 of diamonds, that's just unfortunate. He's first to act, and he's taking his time with his decision, shuffles some chips, just thinking it over, takes about 30 seconds, and does announce all in, covering us about 750 effective. I was probably gonna do that. There's no way I was gonna snap check it back so fast. I tank for a really long time, just playing back the hand over again in my head. And the only thing that sucks in this situation is we do have a diamond, which is a card that we would like him to have. After some more tanking, we flip over our cards and just decide to let it go and live to fight another day. Show it. You might make it. Show it. You bluff me?
Show your tens.
It wasn't a bluff. I haven't been shown a sick bluff yet. One day it'll happen. where I just feel totally dumb and the table goes, oh. I mean, I've been bluffed before, but not in a situation where I show the table a big hand and the opponent just slams down his cards in my face, showing garbage. But this guy does come up to me afterwards when he was leaving, and we talk about the hand, and he does tell me what he had. He said he had a double gutter on the turn, and he had to bet to win. It would have been a cooler hand if he would have shown, but he said he didn't want to show his cards because it was pretty early in the session, and he didn't want the table to know how he was playing. Which I can respect. Like I said, it would have been nice for the vlog to see, but I believe him. I mean, it made sense, and he seemed like a genuine guy. So dang, should have gone with my read on the turn that he was drawing and just stuck it all in there. One day it'll happen, live and captured on video. So that is something that I have never seen, where we make a big laydown and get shown a crazy bluff. And if you guys have been watching my vlogs for a while now, this next hand is something that you guys have never seen me do. So check it out. After that hand, we add on $500 to our stack. And this is just a normal 2-5 hand, no straddle is on. It folds to us in middle position, and we look down at a suited gapper, queen 10 of spades. We raise it up to 15. The low jack cold calls a 15. The hijack and the cutoff get out of the way. The button comes along, and the blinds get out of the way as well. So 3 ways to a flop out of position. And kind of like that ace deuce of diamonds hand, we flop the world on a king king jack 2 spade board. So we have an open-ended straight flush draw. We're first to act and absolutely loving our hand, but still sitting with only queen high. But we're the aggressor and we make a c-bet, throw out 15. The low jack calls a 15 and the button lets it go. So heads up now. And it comes the ace of spades, giving us our second ever royal flush in like 2 months. If you haven't yet checked out that video where we flop a royal flush at the lodge in Austin, you gotta check that one out first. I'll link it in the description or pop it up on the screen somehow. But yes, we catch another royal. And I got absolutely blasted in the comments last time. Most of you said I botched the last one on how I didn't check. And those thoughts kind of go through my head. So this time, yep, you've seen it here. Matty Ice, GainzPoker, checks a monster. The monster of all monsters. Kind of just hoping that he has a king for trips and he puts in more money. And he does. Okay, this one is going better than the last time. He bets pretty small though, only $35. And we're faced with another decision. And I know most of you guys are already typing in, what do you mean decision? Just check, just check. You have a royal flush, just check. But really, hear me out. Do we just smooth call? Or if we do put him on a king, or the rare chance he has a smaller flush, will he pay off a smaller raise? But I think he's just gonna fold everything else. So we wanna keep his bluff hands in. So we just make the call for 35. And the river comes, another jack. It's a jack of hearts, which could be our money card. If he does have any king, the money's gonna go in and we're gonna get it all. Cause any king is basically the nuts. It's top full house. Kicker now doesn't even matter. So we check again to him, hoping he does have a king, and he bets out, and then we can just jam over the top. But sadly, he checks back right away. Damn it.
Wow. Is there a high hand?
They just say thank you, that's it.
Yeah, what no? Thank you.
Oh, I couldn't have pocket any of that shit. Jack was probably a bad card, I don't know.
I had a flush.
He did have one of those rare hands. He had a flush on the turn just like we did. So on a double paired board did kill our action. Come on, why couldn't he just have a king and we get all the chips easily? By remembering all those comments saying I should have checked a royal, if I would have just kept betting there on the turn, we would have got more value from his smaller flush. And who knows, maybe he would have gone crazy with it thinking it was good. So by doing what the people said actually cost me money. Goes to show you that no matter what decisions you make in this game, it has the potential to be either super wrong or super right. You can either look like a genius or a total moron at times, but catching another royal live for the vlog felt pretty good. About a half hour goes by into this next hand. There's a middle position raise to 20. Action folds to us in the cutoff, and we look down at ace-4 of spades. We come along for 20. The button and the small blind fold, but the big blind puts in 15 more for a call. So 3 ways to a flop in position. And it's a full rainbow board, 10-3-4 with 1 spade. The big blind checks the aggressor in middle position, and he does c-bet. He throws out 35. We have a small piece, backdoor straight, backdoor nut flush draw, and still beating any overcards, so we make the call. The big blind gets out of the way. Now we're heads up to a turn, and it comes the ace of clubs, a perfect card. If he was stabbing with ace X bigger than ours, we now have him in a really rough spot. Thinking he's going to continue betting because this card is much better for him than it is us, but sadly he checks. There's no way we're checking this one back, so we throw out a bet, hoping he does have an ace with a higher kicker, like ace jack, ace queen, ace king, and we throw out 60. But I guess he didn't because he folds. The very next hand we're dealt in, we face the same player who didn't want to show us his hand when I folded pocket queens, who remember later said he bluffed us. We're in the hijack and he's on the button, and he does put on the $10 button straddle. It folds all the way around to us, and we have ace-4 again, this time the club variety. We raise it up 3x to 30. The cutoff gets out of the way. The button does defend, and the blinds get out of the way, so we're heads up. Looking for some revenge on this flop, and it comes jack 6-3 all diamonds. We are first to act, and we know we have 2 black cards, but we're still gonna fire and c-bet, and we do. We throw out $25. He makes the call, and the turn is another diamond. It's a 2 of diamonds. An absolute horrible card, so we slow down now and check to him, but he checks back. Not too sure what to make of it, but onto a river, and it comes a 5 of hearts. Another red card, but giving us a straight. We check to him, see what he wants to do, and he does throw out a bet, super small, and makes it 30. Besides not having a diamond, we have the best hand we're ever gonna have in this spot, so we just shrug and call. If we give this guy an extra $30, so be it. The price is just too good. He flips over his cards, and he has 6-9 offsuit, no diamond, so we take it down. We tried to give him another opportunity to make us look dumb with the super small, milky bet, but we made the correct decision this time. A couple hands later, there's no straddle on in this one. The under the gun, first to act, raises to $22, but it's a 2-5 game. The bets are in increments of 5, so 15, 20, 25, and so on. So the dealer pulls back $2, and the raise is 20. So just based off that, this player was either new to the game of poker or played lower, like 1-2 and 1-3. Just something to keep in mind. The next to act gets rid of his cards, action on us, and we look down at a premium, ace-king offsuit. So we bump it up and make it 65 to go. Folds around to the end of the gun, who initially raised, and he makes the call for 45 more. And we're heads up to a flop in position, and it comes probably the best you could ask for with ace-king. It's king-king-5 with 2 hearts. The under the gun checks info to us, and we basically have the nuts with our trip kings. So we're gonna c-bet this time for, wait, no? We check this one back? I know, shocked me too when I saw it. Nah, we have this board locked up, so no need to c-bet on this one. I guess gotta be careful of the 2 hearts, but that's about it. Remember, he was a newbie player, so I don't know if he's really thinking about backdoor flush or backdoor straight possibilities. So onto a free turn, and it's 8 of diamonds, bringing in the backdoor flush draw. So there's 2 flush draws now on board. The under the gun, first to act, thinks, and blankly stares onto the board, debating on what he wants to do. And after about 20 seconds, he finally puts in a bet, 1 black chip for $100. Knowing we're still good, unless he has pocket 5s or pocket 8s, this is part of the hand where we have a decision. We're in position, and he's leading into us. If we get a clean river and he does have a king, he's gonna bet, and we most likely get all the money in. If he does have a flush draw and it's a brick, he's gonna have to bet to win. If he has a draw and he hits, then we just lost. So the risk of just calling doesn't outweigh if we raise and blow him off a flush draw. If all that nerd talk makes sense, if you're still with me, then congrats. If not, hope you can catch up and it'll all make sense later on. So a long analysis, but we just make the call, hoping for a small black card on the river. And it does come a small black card. It's a 6 of clubs. The under the gun goes into the tank. He thinks for a while on this street, longer than the others, but ends up checking to us. Damn it. And the way he checked, I got the vibe that he had a middling pair type hand. So we're gonna go for some thin value, hoping he has a hand like pocket nines, pocket tens, pocket jacks. And the number we come up with is 175. Maybe we could have gone a little bit bigger and really polarized our hand, because if he had a flush draw, he's not gonna call any size river bet regardless. And if he does have pocket nines, pocket tens, pocket jacks, potentially the check on the flop can get a crying call from those holdings. When we make this bet, he doesn't look happy. Right away, he sits back in his chair. So maybe our read was right, and he does have those middling pocket pairs. So we know we have the best hand, and just hoping he has a decent enough hand to make the call. He's still thinking on what to do. I'm like, if this kid raises, I'm gonna snap fold my card so fast, because this would be the most Hollywood I've ever seen anyone do ever. After a long tank, he finally puts the money in for a call. I show him trip kings, and he flips over his cards. And usually when that happens, your opponent shows a better hand, but this time, nope, he had ace queen offsuit. Yeah, you heard that right. He called me with ace queen offsuit. I was like, wow, did he not believe me? Or maybe he misread his hand thinking he had a flush? I'm not really sure. Either way, I think we made the max on this hand. A little bit after that hand, we take a 30-45 minute dinner break. Dinner meaning I ate my meal prep stuff and walked around a little bit. But we're back at it, and the first hand we're gonna go over, we're in middle position. It folds around to us, and we look down at ace king offsuit again. We raise it up to 15, only the blinds make the call, so we're 3 ways to a flop in position. And the flop comes ace high, ace 9-2 rainbow. Sitting pretty with top, the blinds check and flow to us, and we actually decide to check this one back again. I don't know, maybe it's a theme of this session to not c-bet. I think in most cases, I c-bet a higher percentage of hands, but for some reason, I found myself checking more flops than normal this session. But anyway, we do check, so onto a free turn, and it's 8 of hearts, bringing in the full rainbow. The small blind checks, but the big blind bets out $50. And this is the same opponent who bet on the turn the last hand with ace high, drawing dead. So like the last hand, gonna let him do his thing, and we just smooth call. The small blind gets out of the way, so heads up to a turn, and it pairs the board, it's a 9 of clubs. He slows down and checks over to us, and this hand is playing out similar to the last. We're gonna bet for value, and we throw out $115. But unfortunately, this time he lets his hand go, so no extra value for us. Moving on to this hand, a half hour goes by, and we finally pick up a pair. Haven't seen one of those in a while, pocket eights. There's 2 limpers in the field, the under the gun and the under the gun one. Action on us in the hijack, and don't want to go super multi-way with a middling pair, rather go heads up. So we raise and we make it 25 to go. Folds around back to the first limper who makes a call, and the second limper closing the action makes a call as well. We aren't heads up, but in position 3 ways. And the flop comes queen 9-6 with 2 clubs. They both check to us, and we throw out a c-bet for $30. Hoping to just take it down right here, but $30 is an okay price for both of them. They make the call, so still 3 ways to a turn, and it's a brick, it's 2 of spades. They both check over to us again, and I still think I'm ahead, and I want to charge flush draws, and if we are behind, I want to put some pressure on 1 pair type hands, so we continue this time for $120. The small blind calls, but the big blind lets it go, so heads up to a river, and just hoping for a non-club. And luckily it is a non-club, but it's probably the worst card in the deck. It's an offsuit ace, it's an ace of diamonds. If he was fishing with an ace high flush draw, he now beats us. So when he checks over to us, what do? There's over $400 in the middle, and he has maybe 325 behind. I don't think he's folding an ace for that much more if I happen to jam. So I wave the white flag and check back. He flips over his cards, and sure enough, he shows ace king, but they weren't suited. He had ace king with the ace of clubs. Wow, just unlucky for us to get the worst card in the deck on the river. I'm still happy with our play, betting out when we were ahead and checking when we weren't. And that's all we can do, just make the best decisions that we can with the information that we're given and hope for the best. The next hand we're gonna go over, I guess we put it out in the universe that we haven't seen pocket pairs in a while, because here's another one. We have pocket tens, the under the gun straddle is on, the under the gun 1 folds his cards, and we're next to act, and we raise it up, we throw out 35. The hijack makes the call, as does the cutoff. Everyone else folds their cards, So not the most ideal spot, 3 ways out of position with a middling pair, but here we are. And right away in the window, we see paint. It's a king of clubs, followed by a jack of diamonds, but the third card is a 10 of spades. So we flop bottom set on a connected board. It sucks to be out of position, but let's try and navigate and build this pot. We were initial aggressor, and in order to build a pot, you gotta put money in the middle. So we throw out a c-bet, $40. The hijack cold calls $40, action on the cutoff, and he raises to 160. Now what do? We're licking our chops a little, trying to keep it together. Should we raise now, or do we think that the cutoff is just making a move, thinking I'm gonna c-bet most hands? And since the hijack just flatted our $40 c-bet, he can't really be that strong. Hard to know for sure, but we just smooth call, hoping to keep the hijack in there as well. But the hijack snap folds, so we're heads up now to a turn, and it's more paint. It's a king of hearts, giving us a full house. We check and flow to the cutoff, and he snap checks back. Dang, it looks like we're gonna have to do our own bidding. The river is a blank, it's a 6 of spades. The only hand we're worried about is king jack, and if he has that hand, then good for him, he deserves our money. We can't let this check through again, so we're gonna target all king x hands, maybe even flop straights. We go big and bet out for pot size 350. The only thing we don't want to hear is those 2 words, all in. He thinks and tanks for a little bit, and we don't hear those 2 words, so a sigh of relief. He just makes the call. We flip over our cards and show our boat, and take down a decent sized pot.
Did I get lucky, flop it straight?
Yeah. Obviously. I had the redraw too.
He said he had a redraw as well, so queen 9 suited or ace queen suited, but I think ace queen suited most likely 3 bets pre-flop, so most likely queen 9. Talk about an action-packed flop, flopping a straight against flop bottom set. The next hand of note, it's against the same opponent as last hand. It folds around to us in the cutoff. There's no straddle on in this one, and we look down at a suited gapper, king jack of clubs. A good looking hand, so we raise it up, throw out 15. The button gets out of the way, the small blind calls, and the big blind, the same opponent as last hand, raises to 50. Again, the same opponent who bluffed us with pocket queens, but at this moment, I didn't know it was a bluff, so still having that hand back in my head, we make the call for 35 more. The small blind gets out of the way, so we're heads up to a flop, and it comes pretty neutral, I think. It's queen 10-3 rainbow. We miss, but have an open-ended straight draw, so not completely hating it. The small blind, first to act, checks it over to us, which was not expected. We want to take control of this hand, so we throw out a bet, throw out $30. He makes a call pretty quickly, and didn't really expect him to fold to any size. All we're really trying to accomplish is shifting the control over. So on to a turn, hoping to catch our open-ender, but it's a brick, it's a 4 of clubs, bringing in the full rainbow. He checks it over again to us, and now we have a decision if we want to see a free card or continue our story and put ace king or middling pair like jacks or 9s into a tough spot. We take the higher variance route and continue and throw out $70. He thinks about it for a little bit, then reaches for some chips and actually raises 100 more to 170. We go back and forth whether to call or just give up. And we're still drawing to the nuts, so if he does have a set, like a set of queens, which is what he's representing, we can potentially get it all if we hit. So we make the call for 100 more. The dealer burns, and it's a 5 of hearts, shaking our head, just seeing that extra $100 fly away into oblivion. He's first to act, and all I'm really thinking is if he checks, what are we gonna do? But we don't get that chance because he bets an amount and it's $390. I do some table talk to maybe get a reaction.
Why not just make it 4? So you're probably bluffing with the best hand anyway.
And maybe we did get bluffed, but even so, he probably had better anyway. That hand put us back down in the red. What a long, swingy session, let me tell you. Let's see if we can get out of the hole, the last hand we're going to go over in this session. Like I said, we're still down on the night, but what a better way to get out of the hole than with pocket aces. We're in the hijack. There's an under the gun limp for $5. The guy to my right limps as well, and we have the best starting hand in poker, so we bump it up to 25. The big blind makes the call, the under the gun limper gets out of the way, action on the low jack, and he raises and actually goes all in.
I'm all in. All in.
He limp jams all in for $375. Like, what the actual I have to look back at my cards to see if we actually have aces, and sure enough we do. Obviously, if it was just us two, I snap call, but the big blind is still in the hand, and he has around $600 in his stack. I think no matter what we do, it's just gonna look super strong, but I think by us jamming ourselves looks a little weaker, like we don't want the big blind to call. I don't know, what do you guys think? It's not like this situation happens all the time, so I wanna hear your thoughts on it. So we do just that and jam ourselves, covering the big blind as well, but he snap folds. And we have some audio for you guys, so check it out.
I'll tell you what. Wait a minute.
No, do you want to show your cards?
Take $100 out and fold your hand. I got aces.
I do too.
So I asked him if he shows, obviously for the vlog for you guys, and he said, hey, wait, like, let's make a deal. Take back $100 and just fold your hand because I got aces. I was like, I do too. So we both have aces, which is kind of a bummer. I barely had enough time to pick up my phone, and I wasn't even looking at the board. I just hear all the commotion from the table.
You flushed out.
Oh shit.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry about that, sir.
Wow. The chip bully.
Oh yeah.
And the chips get pushed our way. I even apologized to the guy because that was probably the grossest coolers I've ever been a part of. And after that sick hand, we win a few more smaller pots to finally get us out of the hole, and we book a win. It was a long one. I hope you guys enjoyed. I appreciate you guys watching and sticking around to the end. As always, I'm Matty Ice. This is GainzPoker. Peace out.